Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Tiffany Roman coming to you live with another episode of Small Biz Highlight. I apologize for starting a little late. Completely my fault. Technology issues. And anyway, you know how it goes. It just happens sometimes. And thankfully, I have amazing guests that when it does happen, they are completely understanding. It's so great. All right, so let's go quick through our little intro here. We are sponsored today by the Small Biz Highlight app. That's right, we have our own app available on Android and Apple devices through the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. All of our episodes, podcast episodes, anything you want to know about Small Biz Highlight is right there at your fingertips, including our brand new Small Biz Highlight community, our own networking community within the app. So much coming with that. So please stay tuned. I want to apologize for my voice. I am not feeling well. I thought it would be fun to run around in the rain on Friday, helping out with some stuff for the army, and I ended up with this. So I'm going to get through it, though, I promise. We are live with StreamYard. So if you are catching us live on Facebook, hi. We'd love to see your comments, your questions onto screen and have them featured on the show live. But it would also be nice to know who is talking to us and maybe even see your profile photos. So it's very simple. Just go to streamyard.com/Facebook, allows them to talk to each other so that can happen. All right. This year, we have been promoting the hashtag 2020U, the year of more self acceptance, more self love, and more faith in yourself. It's been a journey for me. And it's been one that's been teaching me a lot about myself, about how I am as a mother, all of that. And it's been a really great opportunity to really learn more about myself. And I have been selfishly using all of you as my accountability partners. And I welcome you to use me as yours or get a friend, join in, a family member. You wouldn't believe how rewarding it can be to actually take the time to really learn about yourself and learn how to love yourself. It takes a lot of work, just like anything else, but it is worth it. It's been very rewarding so far, at least. All right. So enough about me. We're going to stop talking about me. Tonight is all about my guest. And just like every other time I go live, I did not take the time to ask him how to pronounce his name. Now I'm hoping it's straightforward the way it's spelled, but you know how nowadays it's just not the case. But okay, so Shawn Channell, I'm hoping is how his last name is pronounced. Um, but I'm so excited to have him here. I am really looking forward to picking his brain a little bit, learning more about his business. But first, of course, we got to learn who he is as a human being. So, with that said, let's bring him on here. Shawn!
Tiffany, how are you?
How are you tonight?
I'm great. I'm great.
Okay, so is your name straightforward or did I butcher it?
It's Channel, just like TV.
Okay. Some people are really fancy about their names sometimes. You never know nowadays.
True. Most people actually pronounce it Chanel, but it is Channel.
See, I'm telling you. All right. Well, I'm glad because I tell you, I usually am pretty good about it, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. But I haven't had anybody, beat me over the head with anything lately. So it's good. It's good.
That is good.
They're usually pretty nice about it. I just gotta get used to asking beforehand. I don't know why that's one thing I always forget to ask before I go live.
Well, was that
All right.
right?
Well, I am excited to have you here. I really wanted to start the show with my first question that I always start with. It's a very simple one, but sometimes trips people up a little bit, gets them off their comfort zone a little bit, which I love. So,
Okay.
Shawn, help my viewers get to know you a little bit. Who are you?
Oh, geez. So I'd say I'm a work in progress. I think it's probably the most accurate description of who I am. I'm someone that's probably a student is one of the big aspects of who I am. I'm always trying to learn, evolve, grow. I believe that we as people should constantly be growing and
Yeah.
changing and evolving. And so that is something that is, a core value of mine, a core belief of mine. And, it's, uh, I've got a couple, so I'm a father and a husband and all of those things too. And one of the things, my daughter is 18 and just graduating from high school this year.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But, you hear people say, well, now you're a grown up. And one of the conversations I had with her recently was, you know what? I don't want you to be grown up. Grown up implies that you're done growing. And realistically, I hope you've got another, 80 plus years of growing to do. So, when I think about who I am, I'm really, I'm just someone who's trying to continue to grow and learn and become better.
Wow, okay. Yeah. I I we tried so hard when we were kids to get to be grown-ups as fast as we could. Then we get there and we're like, "Wait a minute, I don't wanna do this." Or we get there and we're like, "Okay, well, now where do I go from here?" And you're right. I mean, I don't think we're ever done growing up. I think it's constant growth that we're doing until the day, we leave this earth, however which way manner that is. Um, because we're always learning, always, seeing something new. There's always something, that we never heard before. And, this world is just crazy like that. So I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, great question. 'Cause I think it's been a while since someone's asked me that.
That's gotta be so exciting though that your daughter graduated high school. I've been seeing all the pictures on social media of everybody for, graduations and, proms and all that crazy stuff. Ugh, I'm so far away from that. I am not in a hurry to see my boys grow up.
Yeah.
Oh, but I know it's gotta be fun and rewarding to see where how she's grown through the years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, and it's so funny because, they think that they're, and I did too, right? At 18, 19, that I had the world figured out. And then you just start a whole new chapter of figuring things out.
Yeah. Wow. Oof. I remember those days. I do. It feels like so long ago. It's so crazy. But, I wish her all the best. And oh, I mean, oof, life. Life is gonna be interesting. I hope it's a lot of fun for her and she's willing to accept everything that's thrown at her with no problem. I'm sure she will with you as a dad, because I mean, now you have this business of yours called Just Launch, right?
Yes.
What is this all about? What is Just Launch?
So we help small businesses launch and scale their sales teams. So for a lot of businesses, they get to a point where the business owner is kind of tapped out. When you're starting a small business, typically you're playing a lot of roles, and one of those roles is
Mm,
salesperson. You're responsible for going out and making those connections and closing deals and doing all that. But
yeah.
you can only do so much as an individual. So at some point, you have to consider bringing on a salesperson or two or 10. We help with that process. So, we help with the recruiting, the interviewing, the hiring, the training, um, the coaching, the managing, really kind of get those salespeople up and running so that, as a business owner, you can focus on running your business instead of being a salesperson. And
Huh.
we help them build out a sales team, and then that sales team is up and running, and then they can grow as they need to.
Wow, okay. So what example of businesses what are some of the examples of businesses that you've, worked with so far?
Oh, geez. It's been a pretty interesting gamut. So my background is a lot of technology sales. So I spent
Okay.
about 15 years in technology. So I've worked with several small, kind of IT resellers, VARs, technology companies. But I've also branched out into working with uh, language translation companies. I've done with some financial services companies. Uh, we worked with a company that um, their focus was kind of on door to door sales. Uh,
Huh.
and I did two years of door to door sales way back in the day. So, I've done real estate and car sales, and door to door, and technology sales.
Oh,
So I
wow.
ran the gamut. Um, and so we've gotten an opportunity to help a lot of different types of businesses out there.
Huh. So you have a lot of background in all kinds of different different fields of work, which I'm sure comes in handy when it comes to talking to other businesses about how you can help them get those people, those salespeople to help them in their business. This kind of business and service that you provide has to be so helpful to a lot of different types of businesses. Um, especially because, like you said, a lot of small businesses start with one, two people at max that are trying to do everything by themselves. And I think networking and trying to get the word out about the business has to be the hardest part of it, in my opinion, I will say, because that takes so much time out of your schedule. And then you have life, then you have all the other things in the aspects of the business to take care of that, you feel like you're being pulled in so many different directions and, you know, wishing you were able to clone yourself kind of deal.
Yeah, for
And
real.
in a way, your business is basically helping people get out of that arena where they feel overwhelmed and pulling at all different ends of the earth, right?
It is. In fact, it's one of the things that people thank me most about is that the time that they get back. It's either, whether it's focusing time on other aspects of their business they know they've been ignoring, or just simply the ability to spend more time with their family and and live life. They're not having to, cold call. They're not having to respond to every email that comes in. They're not having to, take all the meetings and do all the things. And so it really does free up a lot of time.
So, what is the process that someone would go through when it comes to working with you? Is there like an introductory call that you would start out with? How does that work?
Yeah. So typically we have a couple conversations before we start working together.
Okay.
To really understand where they're at in their business and what they're trying to accomplish. And so, we have to look at what type of salesperson that they might need. There's different, do you need someone that's reaching out via phone call? Do you need someone that is responding to emails? Do you need someone that's, actually out in the field meeting with clients? So we need to understand, what type of salesperson they need. We need to understand how they want to compensate those individuals or individual, what those long-term goals are for them, over the next 6 months to, 2 or 3 years. And so it typically takes, some time to really understand what they're trying to accomplish. And then we put together a plan on how to get there. And then we launch that plan and start building a team.
Huh. So, you're like a recruiter of sorts, where like you're taking the guesswork out of finding these people and helping, them get the help they need that matches their needs. Kind of, yeah, like a recruiter of sorts. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it takes a lot of work, I would have to assume, because one, you have to get to know the person, their business, what they actually need help with, because sometimes people are just so overwhelmed they don't even know what they need help with. And then it takes conversations with you, I'm sure, to finally break it down and be like, okay, this is what we're looking for. Now let's go find it. Um, so after someone has those calls, you determine what their needs are and whatnot. Then what happens? The plan ensues with like a month to month kind of thing, or how does that work particularly?
Yeah. Depending on what their needs are, the engagements are usually 3 months to a year. So,
Okay.
a lot of the heavy lifting is obviously up front, where we're doing the recruiting or the interviewing and the hiring and then the sales training. And then, it kind of tapers down as the salesperson is getting more comfortable and um, solid in their foundation. Luckily, my background, I did sales for a number of years. I was a sales manager for a number of years, and then I moved into sales enablement. And so I've gotten to kind of experience the whole gamut of sales in addition to owning a couple of small businesses over the years myself. So, uh, I can really help them get that salesperson up and running so that by the time we part ways, they have a system that they can then replicate. So as
Oh,
they need to add that, you know, second, third, fifth salesperson, they've got the playbooks, they've got the daily cadence, they know what CRM system they're using, they know how to what to look for in the interview process. So we try and leave them with all the tools so that once our engagement is done, they can then replicate that as needed.
oh, that's great. I love that. There oftentimes there's so many businesses that kind of provide a service and then they kind of make it to where the people would have to keep coming back to them, kind of a deal. But I love the idea that you're making it to where they can kind of end up being self sufficient in that aspect and really feel like they're still having that say in their business, but also doing it to where they're helping to grow it to get the help they need so that they can relax at times finally. All right. So you're in Texas.
Yes, recently
Um,
moved down here.
do you primarily work with businesses in Texas, or have you found yourself growing to helping businesses from all over?
So the answer is both. Well, really, so I've just moved down here. Been down here 9 weeks now. So we was up in the Seattle area. So a lot of my clientele was based out of the Seattle market. But I did have a couple customers down here in the Texas area. So I've kind of reshifted my focus over the last 9 weeks to work more with clients in Texas.
Okay.
One of the side effects of the pandemic was that um, a lot of the training, interviewing, all those things went virtual. And
Yes.
so my business is, in some ways, scaled as a result of that. I've worked with sales teams out of Colombia and South America. I've done some international stuff over in Europe. So I've had the opportunity to work with some different clients in different parts of the world because we've moved to a virtual
Oh, wow.
environment.
Okay. Wow. That's so crazy. The pandemic has had a different effect on so many different type of businesses. Some has been a positive effect, some has been negative, some just never really had an effect or they were, a product of the pandemic where someone just decided I'm going to do this. Let's go. Um how do you feel besides, having to shift into the virtual world or whatever? How else do you feel the pandemic had an effect on your business?
So it was kind of a launching pad for me. So I had started doing sales training. So I was working for a corporate company, IT, as the director of sales enablement, and
Oh, okay.
built out the whole sales enablement department for them over the course of 5 years. Pandemic happened, and we stopped hiring salespeople. We reduced headcount across the entire
Oh.
company, and I was a casualty of that. I fortunately had already started Just Launch, had a podcast up. I'd then started doing sales training on the side, and so I just really shifted my focus from part time business to full time, and that's really been the last couple of years for me. But there was a lot of learning involved in that too. I was used to doing trainings in person, so when I was doing my sales trainings, I was always in a classroom, a conference room, in front of the students, and so I had to learn how to
Uh-huh.
train in front of a camera.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It does take some getting used to though, because it's totally different being in front of people than being in front of a camera. Because Zoom gives you the opportunity to, see who's there and you get to see their reactions and whatnot. Well, like on a platform like I use, StreamYard, if I go live by myself, I can't see who's looking at me or
Yeah,
interacting or whatever. And it sometimes feels like you're talking to yourself per se. But,
yeah.
kinda like when you're recording your podcast. You're talking to your podcast, but you're, like, basically talking to whatever is in your room with you while you're recording, basically. It's an awkward feeling, for me at least. Would you say it's awkward for you sometimes?
Oh yeah, you absolutely have to. For me, it's always trying to picture the audience, and
Yes.
I don't, doing phone sales for so many years, you're talking to somebody on the phone, you kind of start to get to that point where you picture who you're talking to. Never
Mhm.
correctly. The few the times I've always met clients, I'm like, that's not what I had in my head. But it helps to picture the person, and on a phone call, at least you get the nonverbal cues as far as the little sounds that people make. I think in our brain somewhere we associate maybe a sigh or a pause
Yes.
as a body language thing. So you're probably pretty close. But yeah, when you have no interaction at all, yeah, you have to make up your own audience. Mine are always cheering.
Oh gosh. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to take a quick break to play a quick commercial. When we come back, I'd really love to have you give the listeners and viewers some advice if they're in the market of looking for, help in their business and hiring and whatnot. Maybe some quick tips that could help them through get started in the process or during the process. All right? So, give us 1 second. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of missed business opportunities because you don't have the marketing tools that big companies do? Do you want to generate more sales with less effort or technical knowledge? Text for More is a digital marketing solution that is both your digital brochure and web presence that connects you directly to your customers. Best of all, Text for More is proven to deliver results. In fact, some of our clients have seen their monthly revenue increase by as much as 5 times in the first couple of months. To get started today, text the keyword MORE to 317-342-8114 and see how we can assist you. Text for More. Next generation brochures for the digital age.
Hello, if you are just joining us or catching us on our podcast, I am here with Shawn Channell. He is a recruiter. Basically, bottom line up front, he's a recruiter here to help you find the help you need for your business. Whatever it is that you can pawn off to someone else so that it alleviates some of that pressure on you. The little things that you can feel comfortable finally letting go because, as a business owner, let's face it, we do not want to let go of things once we've been doing them the whole time. But, he makes it easier for you. He really wants to help get to know you, your business, your needs, and get you the right people in there for you so that it's not just pawning it off, but then giving it to someone you can trust and someone that, can help your business succeed. So, before the break, I asked him if we could talk about some tips. If you are out there interested in looking for someone to hire, looking for extra help in your business, what are some things you should keep in mind? Whatnot. What are some tips you've got for us, Sean?
Sure. So I would say one of the things, when you think about hiring a salesperson, and I work with a lot of business owners who, they've hired a salesperson or maybe two or three, and they those people didn't last. They lasted 3 months or lasted 8 months, and they feel like there's this revolving door. So there's a
Mhm.
couple reasons typically that happens. Is one, success in one industry in sales doesn't always translate into success into something else.
Mm.
And you either have to really find someone who's well versed in your space, and typically that's going to probably cost you a little bit more money, um, or you have to be willing to train, coach, and develop those people. And so you also then, as a business owner, have to decide: do I have the time to coach somebody and develop somebody, or do I want to find someone who's already well versed and bring them into my business and then let them do what they do? And you mentioned that one of the hard aspects for a lot of business owners is giving up control,
Yes.
and it's also one of the reasons that a lot of times that transition is challenging. uh, you know, as business owners, we're extremely passionate about our business. We
Yep.
know our companies, we know our processes, We know what we can promise and what we can't promise. Whether we do
Absolutely.
that today and we promise it, knowing that we'll figure it out. And as a hired salesperson, I don't necessarily have that same level of passion. I necessarily don't have that same level of knowledge. And I don't necessarily know what I can promise and not promise that we can make happen. And you throw that in with a combination of a lot of business owners are like, you got to do it my way. You got to do it this way. You have to, they're very rigid and not wanting the creative freedom for someone else to figure out their sales strategy. And it can make for a challenging relationship. And so that's one of the reasons that having that third party to, kind of, you know, be the filter between the sales team and, owner can really make a big difference for them is, I say, hey, this works or this doesn't work. I'm not the, you know, sometimes I have to be the bad guy to the salesperson, but at the end of the day, I'm more likely to push back on the owner and say, this is what will get us the best benefits. Okay. How you sell isn't going to be how, Sally or Johnny sells. They have to find their own way of selling. Our job is to support them through that process. Make sure they're representing the brand the best, the right way, not they're, making sure that
Yes.
they're not misrepresenting or misleading or lying to clients. But at the same time, they have to have some creative freedom. One of the reasons that a lot of salespeople struggle is because they're taught one way, and that way doesn't always work. And so,
Mm.
as a coach, as a trainer, as a sales leader, you have to be open to letting people find their own path. You just help guide them, down that path and give them suggestions and hints. And so, um, you know, fortunately for me, I've literally trained and coached and managed around 600 salespeople at this point. And so I've got a lot of experience in working with different personalities and different levels of experience. And that's just something that a lot of small business owners don't have. So that really, it's something that's challenging for them often.
Wow. The more you talk about it, the more I can totally see how this could be such a not daunting, but like overwhelming and very scary process for but for somebody to go through by themselves. To go out and put themselves out there and say, "Yes, I need help. And now I need to find you. And then I need to train you. And then I need to but then not to have a third person like you in the middle to kind of do the checks and balances kind of thing. I can definitely see how that's a benefit because sometimes we get so caught up in our vision for the business and what we want for the business and whatever that we forget that other human beings have there's a possibility that somebody else out there has an idea that may actually work to my benefit if I would just let it happen. And
Yeah.
to have someone like you, then that gives that opportunity to be there. And then, who knows what magic could happen. I mean, what you're doing is great. I really love the whole idea of your business. And I love how much, um, background and expertise you bring to it. You definitely show that you're so passionate about this and that, you're you're so approachable, you're so easy to talk to. I could see how people can just immediately feel at ease and be like, "Okay, Sean, find me people. Let's go."
Well, I talk about this on occasion. I spent my first 8 years in sales not being good at it. My real estate career was nothing to write home about. Like I did two different stints in car sales. I wasn't good. Uh, the door to door, it's door to door. I mean, I wasn't making a lot of money. And and during that time, I actually launched two businesses, and they both failed. And most of that was because I just couldn't sell the idea. I couldn't sell myself. I couldn't sell the business to potential clients. And so, there's a lot of failure on my part that resulted in me getting a lot of learning and experience and knowing what doesn't work before I found out what did. So
Yes.
that's that kind of stuff is I think one of the things that's helpful for me as a trainer is I know if someone's got no sales skills, I know what that feels like. And a lot of
Mhm.
really good salespeople were always really good salespeople, and so they don't necessarily know how to relate to somebody who's not. And so, I even work with a lot of business owners who didn't realize they were going to have to do as many sales, that sales would be such a big part of their business. And oftentimes they're just kind of like, I need a coach. I need someone to train me. I'm maybe not ready for the sales team yet, but I'm struggling as a salesperson. Can you work with me? And
Mm.
so, that's not our primary focus, but it is something that we do, is just work individually with business owners to help them become better at sales.
Wow. And yes, that's so important that you bring that up because, experience doesn't necessarily mean all the wins because, we don't learn to ride a bike on the first time. We fall a bunch of times. I remember a lot of skinned knees and elbows back in my day when I tried to learn how to ride a bicycle. But we kept going and then eventually learned what had to be done to keep going, to actually, pedal away and go down the road without killing yourself. So the same goes with business. You have to be willing to take those hits and they hurt. They hurt sometimes. And sometimes they really bring you down. They make you second guess whether this is something you should be doing and whatnot. But then there's always that one thing that comes around. And you're like, wait, this makes sense. I like this. Let's go with it. And then all of a sudden you find yourself exactly where you're meant to be. And it all was because of the little dominoes that you had in place before that that finally toppled into what you were supposed to be doing. And I feel like that's what happened with you. And, you know, it is very reminiscent to what happened with me on the show. I never wanted to do anything like this in my life, never intended, but somehow I ended up here and now 100 and what 32 episodes in. And thank you to you and thanks to all the businesses that I featured previously and the ones that are scheduled to go live with me in the future. I mean, they're the reason why I keep going and, the reason why I keep building. And I just love the opportunity to share businesses like yours and get, the word out about what you're providing. Because, I feel like it's so important for other businesses to hear about what other businesses are able to do for them. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we get so caught up in our own world that we forget to figure out what other small businesses could help us because then, we're so keen on going to big name companies because we're so used to hearing their names. But there's small businesses out there too, guys, just like Shawn and Just Launch, who's helping you do exactly what the big guys are doing, except he's going to actually, care about what your name is, what's going on with the business. It's going to be an extension of your family per se because you're helping build their family and their business and getting them the help they need. And you even said even providing them help sometimes. So, I it's really great what you're doing with your business.
Yeah, I love it, right? And again, it stems from my own challenges, and just, you would ask me, at 20 years old when I was doing real estate, that I was going to be helping other business owners create sales teams, I would have said no way. But it's good to be able to help people grow their businesses and at the same time help them get more time back to do what they need to do.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much, Shawn, for being here, giving me the opportunity to learn more about you, introduce your business to the followers and listeners. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and hearing your story. Thank you so much.
Same thing. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Well, whether you're catching us live or on replay or on the podcast, wherever you're finding us, thank you first of all for being here. Second of all, Shawn's information will be in the description of the video or podcast episode. If you want to ask any more questions, want to learn more about what he's all about, reach out to him. I promise. Or for those of you watching us live, it's been scrolling at the bottom of the screen the entire episode. So really, I leave you with no excuses. You are able to find him. But thank you again for being here, for listening to Shawn's story and giving me the opportunity to introduce him to you. As always, I will leave you all with your friendly reminder to put your community first by shopping small and supporting local. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.